Hello folks, Dick Fairburn here. For those of you that might have seen the video a couple of days ago of my wife wearing a string bikini and shooting bottles of colored water, some of you expressed a concern that you might someday see me in a string bikini, and you kind of said that that was an image you didn't want to see. Have no fear, that's not going to happen. Today, I'm going to talk about Glocks. Current topic, blowing up the internet. Wow, Glock is discontinuing almost all of their current pistol models. Now, are they caving in to anti-gun states like California, who recently passed a so-called ban on Glocks? It's not really a ban on Glocks per se. It's a ban on pistols that can be readily converted to take the automatic switch that we've been hearing about so much lately. So is Glock bending a knee to the anti-gun crowd, or are they demonstrating brilliant business and marketing strategy? Bans of Glock's pistols, which can be fitted with highly illegal full auto switches, those bans are probably, well, they're certainly stupid, and they're probably illegal. But that and the lawsuits that are going on in many other places, and Glock is facing more than a dozen of those lawsuits at this point, those things are very costly, whether or not they are right and whether or not they will succeed. Instead of denying that a problem exists, which is what we have seen from SIG lately with the P320 pistol, I think Glock is probably just demonstrating once again that they have great business sense and they have a willingness to adapt and overcome to problems they encounter. And that is their track record. Now, the Glock switch caught that company completely by surprise. No fault of their own. But instead of whining, it looks to me like they're mounting a counterattack. So stick around. I'm going to tell you why I think Glock's move might be very, very smart. I want to announce to you that both versions of my book, Building a Better Gunfighter, are available now on Amazon.com. There's a Kindle book version of this for $9.95. There's the paperback copy for $19.95. Of course, sales tax is going to be added to both of those. Just search for Building a Better Gunfighter. I remember the first time I saw a Glock 17 pistol at a gun show in 1980, I want to say maybe 1983. I thought it looked like a toy that probably wouldn't last very long. I was wrong. Now, over the following decades, I have become a solid supporter of Glock pistols. I even led a program to switch one large police agency over to Glock 40 caliber sidearms. Now, between my wife and I, we own 3 Glocks right now, and just by happenstance, they are all the slimline model Glocks, 42, 43, and 48, that Glock will not be discontinuing. And I'll talk about why I think those are still going to be made as we go along. Now, since 1983-ish, we have seen Glock pistols take the world by storm, including having as much as 2/3 of the U.S. police market at one time. It was unusual to see a cop that didn't have a Glock in his holster. And it still is unusual. Their brand expanded to several calibers and a plethora of models, probably too many models. Now, the rarely encountered Glock 18 was always full auto. Had a switch right there on the slide. Now, I've had the opportunity to fire a Glock 18 a couple of times, and they are a lot of fun, as long as somebody else is buying the ammo. And at very close range, or if I had to go into a crowded room with a lot of people and I wanted to kill the most people possible as fast as possible, then maybe a Glock 18 with a 32 round magazine would be a way to do it. But over the years, I've been able to spend a lot of time behind full auto weapons. And I have come to decide that handheld, full automatic weapons fire is not really very effective. Belt fed's a different matter. And there are exceptions, of course, with people who are highly skilled and in those kind of rare circumstances. But realistically, if I got some gangbanger who's going to shoot at me with a Glock or a Glock with a switch, I'd rather have the guy with the switch shooting at me. He's less likely to land hits than the guy who's just looking over the sights sideways and trying to put holes in me. So while full auto weapons are impressive and frightening, they don't really have a great track record of taking out people effectively. Now, we've seen the Glock pistols from the very first Model 17 through Gen 5 we have now. And in case you don't understand this, there have been countless tweaks to the system all throughout, in between those generational changes. The Glock has been adapted and upgraded and modified since the day it came on the market. Because every weapon system has growing pains, and as time goes on or new ammo develops or we start putting pistol lights on them or something like that, things change. And so Glock has been known for constantly changing and evolving their pistols. I have previously told a story in that large police agency I talked about. We had Glock 22s in .40 caliber, and when our SWAT team started mounting weapon lights on the rail, they started coming up with malfunctions. As opposed to the almost zero malfunctions they experienced without the lights. And Glock bent over backwards to make us happy and give us tremendous customer service. Very different from what we see SIG doing with 320. Now, a few years ago, someone figured out how to build a device that would make a Glock go full auto by just simply replacing the back plate. That's nothing new. There have been other semi-auto guns rigged to go full auto over the years. There's always somebody trying to figure out how to make them go rat-a-tat-tat. Now, these Glock switches have allegedly been coming primarily from China. And I have to wonder if this is just part of a bigger communist plot to disrupt U.S. society any way they can. To kill us with fentanyl, to, smuggle in 50,000 or more military-age males as illegal aliens. They're not our friends, folks. And they're laughing their butts off that they're making these illegal switches and getting them into our country and disrupting our Second Amendment rights is really what it's doing. Now, of course, these switches are completely illegal under the National Firearms Act. It is the switch that is illegal, not the Glock pistols. And that's an important point. Now, these illegally converted full auto Glock pistols have reportedly been used in some gang-related killings. And I kind of have this theory about gang-related killings. Most of the time they're shooting each other, so maybe we should actually train them and equip them to be more efficient at killing each other. The only time it really goes bad is when a round misses and goes down the street and hits a little girl on the playground. Gangbangers want to kill gangbangers. I have to wonder if we wouldn't be smart to help them. Okay, so even though these switches are already illegal under state and federal statutes, anti-gun states like California and several others, and some cities like Chicago, they have seized on this as a way to further their goal of banning all guns from private ownership. If the only gun they can get now is the Glock, that's okay with them. They'll start there, but they're never going to stop. Recently, two developments have brought this Glock discontinuing model story to a head. Earlier this week, California's idiotic governor, who is just as bad as our governor in Illinois, who I called JB the Hutt, Newsom signed a Glock ban in California to take effect July 1st, 2026. What it really bans is the cruciform style trigger system in the Glock that can be utilized by these switches to go full auto. And of course then, just really in the last couple of days, is the report that Glock has supposedly announced that all of their handguns except those slimline models would be discontinued as of November 30. There's one fly in the ointment with that Glock story. The discontinuing of all their models except slimlines is not news. They announced that most of their models would be discontinued as far back as April of this year. This has been going on for several months. I think the California story just brought it to the forefront, and a lot of people realized what Glock was in the process of doing. Now, there are fanatics in the Second Amendment world. And at the risk of pissing people off and losing subscribers, these are the people who insist on, I don't need a permit, the Second Amendment is my concealed carry permit. Okay, in a perfect world that would be right. Or open carry is always the best way in an urban environment, which most sensible people disagree with. These people think whenever a gun company doesn't fight to their absolute death against stupid gun laws, that they are somehow bending a knee to the gun grabbers. These people are out there calling for a boycott of future Glock products because they sold us out. As a cop, I learned something. There are an awful lot of stupid people in our society. Not all of them. Not most gun owners. Not most conservatives. But there are a lot of stupid people out there. And since we allow them to breed, there seem to be more and more of them every year. Go find the movie Idiocracy. And it's a comedy movie, but it's not that far from reality. Hope it's not our real future. Some of the folks on our side, the Second Amendment supporters, almost do more damage to our Second Amendment rights than the actual anti-gun crowd. Many of us remember when Bill Ruger was still alive. Now, he came out with the Mini 14. His first ad for that I thought was kind of cute. It was called the world's most expensive plinker. Well, it was a semi-automatic 5.56 223 caliber rifle, not all that different in terms of performance from an AR-15. But Bill Ruger would never let civilians buy a magazine larger than 10 rounds. Now, he made them in 20s and maybe even a few 30s, and we had them in law enforcement. The agency I was with in Wyoming, we had a number of AC 5.56 variations of the Mini 14, which were full auto. Ours were 3-round burst limited. But we had 20-round magazines from Ruger, but he wouldn't let them be sold to civilians. He wasn't anti-gun, certainly, but he wasn't in favor of unlimited gun accessibility for everyone until he died. And now Ruger makes AR-15s, high-capacity magazines, 1911s, and even a clone of the Glock. Now, in about 2000, Bill Clinton wanted to, well, he got the 10-year assault rifle ban, which luckily faded out. But that's when we got, like the safety lever on Smith & Wesson revolvers and some of this other stuff. And we saw these same people in that kind of extreme side of the Second Amendment support group say, well, we'll never do anything with Smith & Wesson again. They've sold us out. So it was Ruger, which is now one of the biggest gun companies ever. It's Smith & Wesson, which is back as strong as it ever was. And now they want Glock, because Glock is giving in. Now, Glocks, in my opinion, Glocks have not really been loved by the cool gun crowd for several years, because those people prefer flashy Glock clones, with threaded gold barrels and ports milled all over the slides, compensators, red dot sights. That's the cool kind of striker-fired pistols, not those old, stodgy, black, run-of-the-mill Glock pistols. But all the while, those of us who prefer simple reliability and performance, which includes law enforcement and the military users of Glocks, we just kept on buying them. Stock Glocks. because they were reliable, accurate, rugged, dependable. Now, some people say they're overpriced, that once Glock's patents wore off and the clones started coming on the market, that they could make them a lot cheaper. Yeah, well, Glock's, of that genre of pistol, Glock itself is at the top of the price structure. A lot of those clones cost less. Do they give you less? I don't know enough about them to say that. But I've learned a long time ago, you pretty much get what you pay for. So here's the question. Is Glock folding their hand? They throwing their cards in due to the new California law? Or are they just getting ahead of the problem? Are they reworking their brand, which is not a bad thing to do periodically? Because just like things changed at Ruger when Bill Ruger died, Gaston Glock is gone. And so maybe that Glock team is ready to do some things that Gaston wasn't ready to do. I don't know that. I'm just speculating. Are they giving in to the anti-gunners, or are they heading off bans and lawsuits while very possibly activating new patents, which could confound their clone competitors for years to come? That could be good marketing and good business sense as well. Now, I've been wrong about Glock before. But I'm betting that what they're doing with this discontinuing of Gen 3, 4, 5 pistols and replacing them with the V series for now and probably a Gen 6 down the road, I think it may be a brilliant move. I think it may be a move that will put them back on top of the market as if they weren't already at the top of the market. Now, the V model will undoubtedly have a new trigger system. That's what they have to do in order to head off the California ban and all these lawsuits that are springing up. So they're going to have to give us a trigger system which will not work with those switches, and probably will be designed to be much more resistant to any future fiddling with someone who wants to create a switch. If they don't do that, then they're stupid, and I don't think Glock has ever been stupid. Any new such trigger system will undoubtedly be patented, probably already has been. That will prevent duplication for, I don't know, 10, 20 years. I don't know exactly how long those patents last. I would like to think it would give us an actual good striker pistol trigger system that I would like, because I haven't really liked any of them all that well so far. I can shoot them well enough, and millions of other people can shoot them very well as well, but maybe they're going to come up with something we're really going to like. Who knows? Time will tell. Now, any of the current Glock clones out there who use that cruciform trigger system that Glock had patented for so long, they're going to be illegal under that California law. They're going to be vulnerable to the lawsuits which Glock's V model is probably designed to avoid. So the clones are going to be the ones behind the power curve here. And as I said, who knows? With Gaston Glock gone, with a complete restructuring of their product line, maybe we're going to see Glock come out with some new features that were made popular by those clones. You know, tried and true is still a good way to sell pistols, but a little bit of glitz may be coming along as well. Who knows? So let's see. If what they're going to do will dodge the California ban, prevent possible future bans and lawsuits, it could block the clone market from copying because of new trigger patents. Is there a downside to what Glock's doing? Yeah, they're pissing off, some people in the Second Amendment movement. And they may be damaging their sales in California, which is already damaged. Now, I got a buddy who lives in California. He hates to see Glock give in to his state's craziness. He said, I'll keep my Gen 3 Glock. It's the best I've got, and I like it, and it'll be just fine. Okay, and he'll get to keep it. There's no provision in that law for going out and seizing existing Glock pistols. Trust me, they've thought of it. They just haven't quite got the stones to go out and try it yet. Now, the only Glock pistols currently on California's approved pistol list are Gen 3 Glocks. And those are going to be banned by this new law going into effect next year. Getting any of the new V models onto California's approved list may require adding special features and 2 or 3 years of hassle in going through their bureaucratic system. It's possible you may not be able to buy a Glock in California for a couple of years. I don't blame that on Glock. I blame that on the legislators and the governors in California. And you know, if you push it far enough, you got to blame it on the voters of California, because they keep putting those idiots in power. Not that I have any room to talk. Illinois has the same problem. Now, unless that California gun ban is struck down, and it could be, Glocks may be gone from California gun stores forever. That's California's goal. That's what they want to happen. Think about things. Long time ago, the anti-gunners, they first wanted to ban handguns. That was the evil weapon on the street that they had to get rid of. Until we got the Heller decision in D.C., which killed it. And it gave us those magic words that they can't ban anything that is in common use for legal purposes. So then they switched from handguns to assault weapons, AR-15s, those terrible black rifles. I think they realize within the next year or two their attempt to ban so-called assault rifles is going to go away as well. And it might be the Illinois case going to the Supreme Court, hopefully next year, that could apply those same in common use words to semi-auto rifles. So if they lose that battle, what are they going to do next? Double-barrel shotguns? Or back to pistols? And that's really what California is trying to do here. I think they know they're going to lose the assault weapon rifle ban. So let's go after pistols. And if all we can do is one pistol at a time, and all we can do is make up this BS story about how many people are being killed by Glocks with switches, then they'll do whatever they can. Folks, these anti-gunners will never quit. They'll start with BB guns if that's what they have to do. Now, no marketing plan is perfect. There are some anti-gun states and cities that will still go after Glocks if they can. But you know, thinking about California, there are a lot of other models of pistols from other brands that are not available in California. They have simply written off California as a market. Voters get what they deserve. Now, with the current leanings of our Supreme Court in favor of Second Amendment rights pretty strongly the last few years, we may see laws like that California cruciform trigger ban fall by the wayside. And, you know, can Glock be held legally responsible for someone else making an accessory which converts their pistols into an illegal firearm? Of course not. Was Colt responsible for the plethora of AR-15 auto sears 30 or 40 years ago? Of course not. But by ceasing the manufacture of pistols which can be fitted with the current generation of Chinese-made switches, I think Glock is showing themselves to be proactive. They're adapting to the reality. Even though they didn't create the problem, they know they can't fix the problem with the systems they have in place now. Now, I mentioned slimlines, 42, 43, 43X, 48. To my knowledge, no switch has ever been made which will fit on the narrower slides of those models. Why would they? If they want a full auto handgun, they want one that's going to take a 32 round magazine, not a slimline pistol that takes a 6 to 10 round magazine. Kind of defeats the purpose of a full auto, because the damn things tend to go empty when you need them the most anyway, so you need as many rounds as you can. But by accusing Glock of bad Second Amendment behavior and promoting a boycott of the new V model pistols, I think those out there on the fringe of the Second Amendment movement you're merely playing into the anti-gunner hands. Now that's just my opinion. Trash me in the comments all you want. This rebellion against Glock reminds me so much of the ridiculous conspiracy theories surrounding the Charlie Kirk assassination. Just insane things going on out there. It reminds me a lot of SIG's refusal to accept that the SIG P320 pistol has any issues at all. Folks, don't overthink these things. Glock could be just looking towards their survival because enough litigation and enough bans could put them out of business. If you want to have a Glock in the future, and you'll still be able to get parts for your Gen 3, 4, 5s and things like that, if you want a V, if you want a Gen 6 when it comes down the road somewhere, don't overthink this. Glock has to survive first. It's not because they're giving in. It's because they're smart enough to say, we got a problem and we're going to fix it. So I think that their move to discontinue their current models, replace them with new models that are resistant to the bans and litigation, is logical. It is sound business practice, and done correctly, it can be very good marketing. So take a deep breath. The V models will probably start shipping November 1st, and we will have reviews on them flooding the internet immediately, good or bad. Those who are pissed at Glock will hate them. Those who are objective will look at them and say, they're probably not much different than what we've been having from Glock since the beginning, except a little bit different trigger system and maybe even a better one. Gaston Glock created an innovative pistol and a marketing strategy that took the world by storm. Now, while Gaston himself is gone, his team may just show us how to beat the anti-gunners at their own game. And that could be what this is all about. That's my 2 cents. Tell me what you think. Let's get the comments going. Folks, if you like these videos, I ask you to subscribe. Resubscribe as needed. Give me a thumbs up, a like, share it with your friends. This is the hot topic today as I film this. We'll see where it goes. And we'll see how fast it dies if Glock does what I think and produces a perfectly good line of pistols that will continue what they've done since the 80s and build their brand strongly into the 21st century. Whatever it is, whatever pistol you choose, whatever brand you decide to leave behind, we have a lot of danger on our streets today, folks. Go armed whenever you can, legally. Be prepared to defend yourselves and your family. Y'all be safe out there.
Okay, we got them both here now. You ready? Bud got one. Ginger got one. Oh, she missed it. She usually gets them, doesn't she, Bud? Okay, girl, last one. You ready? You ready? Yeah! That's all there is till next time.